Hi, my name is Stephanie Reynolds, and this is my PowerPoint on cognitive development. We'll look at the background of Piaget and his theory, how development occurs, and the 4 stages of cognitive development. Piaget was a Switzerland psychologist, and he was one of the most influential developmental psychologists of his time. His theory of cognitive development was a child's intellect ability progresses through 4 distinct stages. And he believed that each of these stages are characterized by the emergence of new abilities and ways of processing information. And although later research has criticized his work, his theory still provides a baseline for cognitive development. Development occurs in several ways. It begins with schemes, that is mental patterns that guide behavior. And our book gives the examples of babies and how they explore with the sound, taste, and properties of new objects. And they use an example of like giving a baby an object such as a wooden block, and they'll taste it, bang it on a table, see how it sounds. They may throw it across the floor, see it bounce, and make a different sound. And then they'll adapt, and that's adjusting schemes in response to the environment by means of assimilation accommodation. And then you give a baby a glass block, and that's assimilation, understanding new experiences in terms of existing schemes, and they're going to do the same thing with that glass block. They're going to taste it, see how it sounds, throw it across the floor, and see that it breaks. And they're going to accommodate, and they're going to modify their scheme to fit that new situation. So they know now I can throw a wooden block, not a glass block, across the floor. Piaget's stages of development, he believed that all children pass through all 4 stages of development in order without skipping, and the rate at which each child passes through a stage may differ. The 4 stages are sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. And now we're just going to run through each stage, and I'll give you a classroom application for each one. The sensory motor stage, which is from birth to 2 years, and this is when children begin to use their senses to learn about objects, and that goes back to the scheme. They start building schemes for objects, and they start adapting and assimilating and accommodating for new objects. At the end of the stage, they move away from the trial and error, so they move away from testing things and more towards problem solving. And they start out without object permanence, and by the end of the stage, they start to grasp that objects exist without seeing them. So you throw a blanket over a toy, and they don't know that it's still there. At the end of this stage, you throw that blanket back over the toy, and they're going to pull the blanket off and say, it's still here. Another characteristic of this stage is that they start connecting numbers with objects. So a classroom application of this is using picture books to help with counting, or giving the children problems that require them to figure out who has more of something. The next stage, pre-operational stage, and that's from 2 years to 7 years. And this stage is when they begin to represent objects in their mind. So that goes back, they start gaining object permanence. But they only have a one-way thinking. So they're ecocentric thinking, and they're unable to think in terms of reversibility. And our book gives the example that they cannot think in, we know that 7 plus 5 equals 12, but they don't know that 12 minus 5 equals 7. Also, they can't turn it around and go backwards. And the classroom application of this is using props and visual aids to illustrate lessons, and that helps them with representing objects in their mind, and also allow for lots of practice on facts or information that will be building blocks for future knowledge. The concrete operational stage, which is 7 to 11 years, they're able to think logically and more out of the box, but abstract thinking is still not possible. An important thing during this stage is that they are able to place things in logical order. A classroom application of this is giving students work that requires the use of timelines or putting things in order depending on a given characteristic. So this can be used throughout all subjects, putting events in order, putting numbers in order, putting procedures in order, anything. You can use these in all content areas. And the last stage, formal operational, which is 11 to adulthood, they're able to think strictly in an abstract, more out of the box. And so you can start challenge their thinking when they're answering problems for a classroom application. Have them explain how they got that, and broaden discussions beyond the topic. Talk about other situations going on at the time that the problem occurred.